Oh, still spinning. There we go. And let's get our Facebook friends in here. It's officially time to go. Spinning wheel 1 and 2. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It is Wednesday, September 7th, 6:05 p.m. Mountain Time. That means it's time for an episode of Mile High Insiders. I am Nick Kendell and joined by almost always, welcome back, Luke Patterson. Luke, man, I was missing your face. How you doing, man? It's we've been sending out the good vibes almost every show for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm doing okay. Doing all right. It was a gnarly break. I laid down my Harley 2 weeks ago and ended up having to have surgery on humerus bone. Do not break that bone. It is not
God.
fun at all, as I am learning. But I feel blessed, man. Anytime you can walk away from an accident, it's a blessing. And not only that, it's the regular season, baby. Talk about blessings. We
Mhm.
have made it, Broncos country. No more training camp. No more competitions, no more. The roster's set. It's ready to go. And we got our first football action tomorrow. And then your Denver Broncos are playing on Monday night. Nick, you're going to be there in Seattle. So how am I doing? I'm doing damn good because the Broncos are back. Football is back, and nothing can keep me down because Russ is in the house.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All the stuff coming out with Russell Wilson and the end of the Seahawks era there. It's always kind of sad when something like that goes off. And before we start saying hello to the chat here, while Luke messes with his mic a little bit, chat, this is a question for Luke, but also I'm curious what the chat has to think. How is the 12th man, the Seahawks fans, going to receive Russell Wilson? Because it was not a very clean breakup between the Seahawks and the Russell Wilson. A little bit of hurt feelings. Russell Wilson upset. I think it was the Falcons game or something where he had 2 touchdowns the first half and they only threw it 5 times after that. He thought he was in the MVP race, pulled off, not really getting much say in the personnel decisions, the playmaking design. Then he comes to Denver, apparently the one place he wanted to go. Easy to say that after the fact, but the one place where he wanted to go. And now he's here working with Nathaniel Hackett, this offensive savant. Russell Wilson's words. I'm a little bit more wait and see on that. And getting a lot of personnel decisions, working with George Payton to scout Montrell Washington and stuff like that. So 12th man, are they going to boo him? Are they going to stand up and cheer for him? Is it going to be a mixed bag? What's going to happen week 1?
They're going to boo him, man. They're going to boo his ass. They're already talking all this bad junk on Twitter. The memes are going out there. If he's corny, he's corny. I don't even really consider that an insult anymore. I mean, like, if you're going to be called corny and your feelings are going to get hurt, you better have a thicker skin, especially in this business. No, they're going to boo him, man. They're going to boo him because they're bitter that he's gone. And now they're stuck with Geno Smith as their starting quarterback. Yes, Drew Lock is going to play at some point, but they're not through the moon about that either. They clearly got what I consider and everyone else in Broncos country and the national media considers the short end of the stick anytime you deal away a future Hall of Fame quarterback like Russell Wilson. But like you mentioned, Nick, they pretty much said, we're putting you out to pasture, Russ. We don't think you could do it anymore for X, Y, and Z. And the Broncos doubled down and signed this man to a long-term deal. I was super pumped about that. But him going into Seattle, I think they're going to boo his ass. Plain and simple. You're going to be there. I know you'll be cheering for him.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you're a man among the people behind the enemy lines, if you will. What are you hearing out of those Seattle Seahawks fans?
Well, I just thanks to the old man, got me the old school Bronco hat when I saw him this last week in St. Louis. Surprised me with that because he knows I always, talk about it on these shows. He's probably somewhere watching with my mom or after the fact or right now, and he got me that hat. So thanks, Dad. But I've been wearing that for the dog walks in the morning and have had many people stop me and say, without unprompted, I have my AirPods in or talking to my mom on the phone in the morning, a little ritual. Guys, call your mom. This is a message for you to call your moms. But people stop me like, well, he's washed, right? I know what they're talking about, but I still say, what are you talking about? It's Russell Wilson. It's like, well, you know what? Washed Russell Wilson is better than fresh out of the womb Drew Lock or Geno Smith. So I will take it every time, man. It's been dark and dire here in Broncos country. No questions now. Contracts taken care of too. We haven't had a chance to talk about that, Luke. So we'll see how Russell Wilson plays. I think a big factor for this season and the years going forward? Can Russell Wilson regain that mantle of being that tier 1 quarterback, or is he going to be a tier 2 quarterback, which seems like a lot of national pundits have started to place him in, even some saying tier 3. That's big questions going forward. But God, we've been in tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 land for the last 6 years. So I'm really excited about it, and I'll be cheering my butt off for that washed
Sure.
guy the whole
Well,
game.
and if we're being honest, hasn't Russ always kind of been looked at with the same sort of criticisms? Now they're just different words.
Yeah.
Now, the inaccuracy, sure, we've heard about that. We've the ego, sure, we've heard about that. But now he's just being called corny, he's being called washed up, and I don't quite see proof of that. I mean, you've got to see more evidence than a bad team in general. For me to give up on Russell Wilson. I mean, great quarterbacks can have bad seasons with horrible teams. And I think Pete Carroll has gotten stale in Seattle. That's not to say that he shouldn't be respected, nor should he go down as one of the best coaches of all time. I think he's well within his right of passage to be in the immortalized minds of football, from USC to what he's done in Seattle. But then you also look at what happened with USC, and there was a little bit of a bummer when he had to leave there. There were some ripple effects too. So I think every once in a while coaches get stale, Nick. It's happened here in Denver. I think, bless him. I love Mike Shanahan and would have loved to have him back, but sometimes you do need coaching changes. Sometimes you need personnel changes. In the Broncos, they just have themselves the biggest change of all, an owner. Right? We've got an ownership group in the house. Phil McLaughlin coming in saying, "Good evening, Luke, Nick, and Scott. Welcome back, Luke. Hashtag Let's Ride." Thanks, Phil. I appreciate you, man. And thank you so much to everybody out there that's been giving me your thoughts, your prayers. My family and I appreciate it. My friends appreciate it. And you guys, it really touches me, man. It makes me feel very humble to not be going through this alone, and to have a recovery going on right now with all of my friends and family from MHH. So thank you guys so much. I see you in the chat, and I'll try to get to everybody, but the show isn't about me. It's about you and your Denver Broncos, who are playing on Monday Night Football, baby. I'm ready for the promo, Nick. I like the promos. I always have,
Yeah.
waiting all day for Monday night. I get goosebumps every time, especially when the Broncos are on. I'm a total sucker for that stuff. Nick, I know you love watching the game just like I do, and we go back, we chart. Do you like that stuff? Do you like the novelties of Monday Night Football songs and some of that? Because it gets me going still.
I gotta say, I probably have the most nostalgia for the Sunday Night Football theme on NBC, because the Sunday night games were typically flexed, and that just makes me think of the Peyton Manning era Broncos with Al Michaels coming in with
Ooh.
the view of the stadium, dun 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 dun. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Yeah, that's hard to beat. I'm talking about goosebumps there. Some of the Monday night stuff is a little more corny and cheesy production, but I just like, it's football season, and especially when those
Yeah.
games are getting flexed on Sunday, it gets me super excited. God, cannot wait, man. I'm super jazzed. Diamond Rattler coming in saying, "Boom, let's ride. Good to see you. Much love and respect to Emmanuel Sanders. Mile high
Boom.
salute."
And look at Diamond
Absolutely.
Rattler. Much love and respect to getting in your reps in the gym, boy.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah.
No, Emmanuel Sanders today, Nick. Talk to Broncos country. He obviously moved back in Denver last summer. I think he was here just before the summer, and I was campaigning for this man to possibly join the Broncos after Tim Patrick went down. No, it didn't happen or anything like that, but he announced his retirement today. Why should Broncos country be excited that Emmanuel Sanders retired here in Denver today?
I mean, it just harkens back to a great era in Broncos country. Just talking about it just now, how it's giving me goosebumps. Emmanuel Sanders is a big part of that. So good to see him come back. I know that he did not leave Denver in the best situation. Now, granted, catching balls from Case Keenum or Trevor Simeon or Paxton Lynch, or et cetera, et cetera. Not going to put a smile on anybody's face, especially a receiver who has a high opinion of himself after catching balls from Peyton Manning. But really good to see him come back. And I guess my question for you, Luke, on this is, any chance for a Ring of Fame with Emmanuel Sanders? It does seem like
Mm.
that's not the general consensus, is that's not going to happen. But he was really, regardless, Ring of Fame, not Ring of Fame, big part of the story of the Denver Broncos. You can't write it without Emmanuel Sanders being a part of it.
Oh man, that's true. Yeah, I gotta say no for me. He doesn't belong in the ring just because there was such an embarrassment of riches with those Peyton Manning teams that you were referencing, getting those goosebumps too. I mean, Peyton distributed the ball all over the field. Julius Thomas, we talked about him a few weeks ago, last time I was on, and all the touchdowns that man was scoring. And then, God rest his soul, Demarius Thomas. I mean, he's had success with so many different guys. So it's not that Emmanuel's not deserving. It's just that I don't think he quite has the numbers. I'd have
Mhm.
to go back and revisit Rod Smith's numbers and some of
Yeah.
these other receivers. But Denver's where he played the longest in the NFL, folks. I mean, 6 seasons, and Emmanuel
Wow.
got around. He was a Denver Bronco. He was a
Oh, hmm.
Pittsburgh Steeler, Buffalo Bill, New Orleans Saint, and San Francisco 49ers. So a two-time Pro Bowler, went to 3 Super Bowls, won Super Bowl 50 with your Denver Broncos. I think his number for me changed it. And I think that's why we wanted to kind of title the show the way we did. Number 10 for me now has expectations just because he's not a Ring of Famer. I see that number 10 and I think of excitement. I think of dynamic playmaking ability. I think of unselfishness on the field, at least. One Emmanuel Sanders play that I absolutely have to mention now before I forget was the Denver Broncos in the Peyton Manning era played the St. Louis Rams on the road and got absolutely slaughtered. I think Mark Schlereth said they weren't even worth a squirt of you know what in the bucket. He got kind of kicked out of the family circle for a little bit. It was that game. And
I
Emmanuel
was at that
Sanders,
game.
were you? Emmanuel
Yep.
Sanders laid out on a go route and got his bell absolutely rung and got up. I mean, after the fact, when he got up, I was like, this cat is tough. He is unbreakable. And he wasn't a big receiver, Nick. He's kind of a
Hmm.
little guy, right? Emmanuel Sanders. And he was fearless for me, and guys respected the hell out of him.
Yeah, feisty. Yeah, that was an unfortunate game. I don't want to tell Broncos country what my record is for seeing the Broncos live in regular season. It's not good, and I'm going to be there Monday night. But they're not superstitious. It's fine. Yeah, but Mile High Huddle coming in here. Thanks, Scott. And ironically, he's also number 10 all time in the Broncos for receiving
Wow.
yards. So a little bit of magic with that number 10 there, and it's looking good, especially on Jerry Jeudy still right now. We got Andrew Baker coming in saying, "Welcome back, Luke. Can't wait to talk about some sea chickens and shut those fools up. Hashtag MHI for life. Hashtag let's ride." Thank you so much for the stars, Andrew. We appreciate you. All the support
Thanks,
there.
brother.
Also, we got CCC, Colby C. Collier, coming in saying, loved Emmanuel Sanders when he was in Denver. And I don't see any way Seattle boos such a nice guy in Russell Wilson. I mean, it did not end great for them. He wanted out, right? He demanded to be traded. If that was the other way around, I think Broncos country would be split, but there would be boos that would come out because we'd feel jaded. We'd feel like, oh, you were not good enough for you. You wanted to leave us for this other team that hasn't even been good. What were you without our run game? What were you without our defense? That's what I think some Seahawks fans are thinking right now. And not to talk down to anybody, but we've seen how much the Kool-Aid runs deep with your fandom, just based on what we've seen the last few years with Drew Lock being a bottom 3 or 5 quarterback and us talking ourselves into him being, this guy just one move away or one injury away from being taking that step forward. That it's the thing about fandom, right? You kind of it blinds you. It's fanaticism for a reason.
Yeah, and Kathy Lund weighing in. Thank you so much for all of your support too over the past couple of weeks. And Nick, you especially, man. Nick's been awesome, man. And all of you guys truly humbling, but especially Kathy. Seattle fans are fickle. I absolutely love it. I agree with it, and I think it's their turn to, you know, take a spin on this terrible carousel of quarterbacks that the Denver Broncos have gotten very familiar with. And they're about to see how much it hurts when you don't have anything. And I'm not trying to diss Geno Smith, but I mean, my God, we're talking about a future Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson. Okay. You just give that away. I mean, I don't know if that's worse than cutting Peyton Manning, but at least with Peyton Manning, you could say, wow, neck injuries, age, man, that could be a little bit of a gamble. A gamble I still would have taken, no doubt. But still, Russell Wilson in his prime, looking to do good things. He's talking about wanting to play till he's an old man, Nick. I mean, you're starting to see that change a little bit. He's a freak with his diet, a freak with his health, and just an absolute freak on the football field. Roboto Doom 5 coming in. Thank you for joining Nick, Scott, and I here on MHI. Where would you guys place Emmanuel Sanders in your all-time Broncos wide receiver list? Top 10 or top 5? That is an excellent question. For me, it's in Rod you trust, right? And he's got to be your top number one receiver for me, Nick. Are you going to lean with Rod Smith there, Demaryius Thomas? Who would you pick as at least the first?
1A, 1B. Demaryius Thomas's peak was more impressive. Rod was more consistent over the years. Demaryius Thomas, a more explosive player. Rod Smith, a more consistent player. So I could hear an argument for either of them. I don't really have strong convictions either way. I think it is 1A and 1B. You also got to give a shout out to Vance Johnson, one of the three amigos there for a long time. Really good.
Yep.
Riley Odoms. He's a tight end, though. But Haven Moses and, Rick Upchurch. There's the name. Rick Upchurch. Another one that sticks out for me as deserving of a call out. And of course, we got Kathy Lund saying Eddie Mack. So I would not.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say
I would
Mack
not put Emmanuel Sanders top 5, top 10, though.
Top 10 for sure.
Sorry, Luke, you're breaking up a little bit on my end.
Uh-oh.
A little bit. It's the connection. It's not the mic. But while you figure that out, I will be working with Gary Leeds Palmer here, GLP, coming in saying, hey, Luke, Nick, and Scott, football is here. Go Broncos and let's ride. Thank you so much, Gary. We appreciate you. Had a few more people coming in too. Wanted to say hello. Rodney coming in. Welcome back, Luke. Glad you're doing well. Let's ride. Hello, Luke, Nick, and Scott. Go Broncos. Don't know if we said hello to Chase yet. Good evening, all. I know we said hello to Travis Weber coming in here. We also got Albert Knoppers. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. David Meckelrath saying good evening, Luke, Nick, Scott, and Broncos Country. Hashtag Broncos Country. Let's ride. I love it. What did you think about Emmanuel Sanders leaving his press conference today with a let's ride as well?
I absolutely love it. I think you're going to see Emmanuel Sanders at the games this year. He's a Broncos alum, and he's going to be treated as such. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's going to be treated as such. He has got the run of the place, I think, on Sundays, man. He's deservingly so. I think you're going to see so many Broncos come back now that the team is back to being relevant. And this is going to be a winning football team, folks, period. It's going to start this year, and you're going to see guys come back. And when guys come back, the traditions start coming back, but pressure comes internally a little bit, and that internal pressure is good. Hey, this is the expectation to win in this town. Now, not later. Now, tired of being bullied by the Chiefs. I'm tired of all this junk about the Raiders. Yeah, the Chargers, they're going to be a formidable threat. How are we going to face that? Well, you're going to face it head on. There's no running from it. You're either going to get better or you're not. And I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Garth Knight coming in. Garth's been a big time consistent supporter here coming in with these $4.99 supers. So Garth, a relatively new name to our community, but man, making a big impact here, supporting us. We really appreciate it. Garth comes in with saying the Sea Chicken fans are so salty that I wonder if Russ gets into Seattle's Ring of Fame. MHH country, let's ride. It would be stupid for Russell Wilson not to get into whatever elite group of Seahawks fans that you get when his career has come to a close. I understand that, again, it did not end the best for them, but you are not where you're at. You say what you want about the defense and Marshawn Lynch and the run game and everything like that. You're not getting there without Russell Wilson. I'm still upset at the Seahawks when they traded him, saying thanks to a great tenure in Seattle from one of the best Seahawks quarterbacks of all time. I mean, your list is Matt Hasselbeck, or Russell Wilson. Like, you don't have to do that on the way out. I understand it was, he wanted out and it didn't end great, but like, damn, that's some bitterness.
They had an old quarterback of yesteryear, I can't remember who, that spent just had a cup of coffee with him. But to your point, he is the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, don't go out there talking all your smack without Russell Wilson. Y'all would have been nothing. You still would have been nothing. Sean Alexander, that comes to mind when I think of Seattle before all this Legion of Boom nonsense. I mean, don't get me wrong. That was a pretty damn good defense. But I would still take the no-fly zone. EJ, wow, thank you. Welcome to MHI, and thank you so much for joining Nick, Scott, and I. A generous $50 super chat. Guys, these super chats really help us keep the lights on, allow us to do what we do through the good times and the bad. So appreciate you so much, EJ. Hope you're doing well. EJ's coming in saying, I remember when the Seahawks played in the AFC West and the kingdom was half empty. Short story, long, who cares if they boo Russell Wilson? They are newbie fans and wouldn't know great quarterback from a pile of bleep. Sorry for being snarky tonight. Never be sorry, EJ, ever, for making fun defending your quarterback, Russell Wilson, and those Seattle Seahawks. I love the nicknames I'm seeing in here from all of our friends too about the Dirty Bird. That's all I had. Not very
That's
original,
the
not very
Falcons.
cool. Yeah, that's what I thought too. It didn't
Yeah.
really apply. Some of this, the
Sea chickens.
seabirds, sea chickens. I absolutely love it. Here we go.
Yeah.
My guy KB has my back. What's up, KB? Warren Moon. That's who it was, man. I didn't want to say it and be completely off, but I thought he spent a spell with him. I don't know how long. KB, thank you as well, man, for all the thoughts and prayers out there reaching out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird, man. Looking back, AFC West, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think we're in the AFC West at one time.
I don't. That's before my time. I remember playing the Seahawks. I had those VHS tapes of the Broncos Super Bowl runs, and they'd always have
Okay.
multiple games against the Seahawks playing in the Kingdom, and Elway just smacking that butt of those teams. And yeah, Zorn to Largen. That's another one that stands out there. But we got another 50 coming in from EJ. Goodness.
Wow,
This is
EJ, thank you.
classic Elway versus Revis. Bulls chose correct when he chose the player. Seattle chose wrong and chose the old set coach in his ways. They also chose John Schneider, who apparently targeted Drew Lock. He wanted Drew Lock on the deal. I think some of it was their hands were tied with Russell Wilson having a no trade clause and wanting to come to Denver. But yeah, no, very, very rough seeing what's going on with the Seahawks now. They are definitely fighting for a top 5, top 10 pick this year. And if John Schneider's goal was a hard reset, maybe going after Drew Lock against Geno Smith to get a top 5 pick this year is the way to go.
Maybe. And I am correct. AFC West, Tampa Bay Buccaneers
Wow.
were in there. Can you believe that? You have the Seattle Seahawks, the
Really?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, divisions were all kinds of crazy. What is it? The NFC East still bothers me, drives me absolutely crazy. Everyone hates that division, though, if we're being
Yeah.
honest. Nobody likes it. EJ, thank you so much
Yeah.
for all of your support tonight, and let us know some of your comments. Keep them going, folks. This is MHI. He is Nick Kendell. I'm Luke Patterson. Scott on the ones and twos. Please get at Nick on Twitter at Nick Kendell MHH. If you'd like to reach out to Scott, that's at Scout Kennedy, and yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Head on over to the mothership milehighhuddle.com, or go ahead and reach out on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. I see C Chang in there with a new nickname I can't put up, but that's pretty good. You guys, I love the way you're defending your people. Kevin Gray, Floyd Little, let's ride, man. Floyd Little, a special place in Broncos country. God rest his soul. Also, I mean, you have to think some of these folks, and I like to think, man, Mr. B smiling down, excited for this. Absolutely crazy that we are here. I mean, we're days away from your Denver Broncos traveling to Seattle. Nick, I've never been to Seattle. I've never seen a game in that stadium, but I take it seriously that the noise is as crazy as they say it is when they've got the Richter scale and all this craziness measuring it. Man, that has got to be intimidating. What do you expect being in that stadium? Have you heard anything like that before? And do you think it's going to really bother or rattle Russell Wilson being on the other end of what was once his fellow Seahawk faithful?
I do worry a tad about it being an emotional game for him coming back. I mean, Peyton Manning went to Indy twice and lost both times, if I recall correctly. Just
Oh,
weird
yep.
coming back in this place that did so much for him and catapulted his professional career. But first, Miguel coming in with the stars over on Facebook saying, "Sup, fellas, Luke, how did this offense
Wow.
do compared to last year in training camp? What makes you most excited?" Uh,
Thanks,
but
Miguel.
yeah, no, I'm mostly concerned about the emotional aspect of the homecoming and all the pomp and
Leave this up,
circumstance
please.
surrounding it. And yeah, of course. So what do you think about training camp this year compared to last year, other than the pomp and circumstance of Sierra with Russell Wilson in Denver and the Hackett show?
It was a night and day difference, man. I used to
Yeah.
dread going out to training camp. Don't get me wrong. I love what I do. I'm very
Yeah.
blessed to be a part of my Huddle. I'm very blessed to be a part of Broncos country. And in no way, shape, or form am I trying to complain about some of these privileges. They're privileges, they're not rights because you guys allow us to do what we do. That being said, Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater can only get me excited so long. Man, put that together with some incompetent coaching and grouchy old Vic Fangio and arguments and drama, and it got to be very toxic down there at UC Health Training Center. This year that wasn't the case at all. People were excited. The hill was completely full. The media sideline were completely full. I was on both, just trying to get a good vantage point. But to see those Cowboys come in and get their tails spanked, that was a good feeling because that's a good football team. Say what you want about them. We can make fun. They are no slouch team ever. They're always sort of in the mix. Yes, they're going to keep losing. That's what they do. And if Jerry Jones wasn't in that mix, I think they would be a lot better team. But guys, this is a new team. There are new expectations. The energy's real. Everything I've seen out of Russell Wilson is real also. From the way he treats
Yeah.
to the water folks, to the janitors, to just small time folks, if you will.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. So that's not to say he's not going to have mistakes. So Broncos country, settle down. If there's an interception thrown, settle down. If there's a fumble, because correct me if I'm wrong, Russell Wilson knows something about comebacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kathy's saying, dude, tons of players' wives were there, not just Sierra. Not all the players' wives had their own security detail walking around with people taking pictures of them, I guess is what I was getting at there. So the profile and everything going on in Dove Valley this year was a little bit different. No doubt
And
about that. And
Sierra, man, and Sierra, dude, she is like, I'm learning more about her every day. I was just talking to my mom and dad about my mom. I didn't even know my mom knew about Sierra or anything like that. And she's like, that Sierra seems like a very nice lady because
yes,
she had read something about her doing some sort of humanitarian work or something like that. And here's what I'll say, not that it matters when you judge a person or their family, but I never saw Sierra out there with a bunch of babysitters and au pairs and all this kind of stuff. She was out there just being a mom to her kids, out there being a wife to her husband. And then
hmm
I was also talking to some folks and they're saying, well, why would you want your wife out there every day? Wouldn't that be distracting? And I'm thinking, not if you have kids. That's a very special moment. I've got friends that have played in the
yeah,
NFL who their kids have got to celebrate that Super Bowl 50 confetti. And those are just small little memories you can make as a family. And I think getting back to those family roots installs some trust with the culture. And I'm absolutely pumped that Sierra's here. And Kathy, I know you are too, but you're exactly
yeah,
right. We've got a good group of guys and gals over there. Cody W coming in, being very patient with a generous $2 super. DT and Emmanuel Sanders are one of the few duos to hit 3,000 yards. Man, that takes us back, right? DT and Emmanuel. What a great duo those guys were. And Peyton had himself some weapons.
yeah. No, it's he did, and that's one thing about a quarterback with Peyton's brain, right? You want to give him the pre-snap matchups every time. So it wasn't just Emmanuel Sanders and DT, Decker era as well, Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, no Sean Marino even for a bit, CJ Anderson. Broncos did pretty good giving him some weapons to work around with. We have Phil McLaughlin coming in talking about weapons coming in. Phil, I was wondering that since the Broncos are second highest travel team this year, if anyone thinks it could affect their play at some point.
Yes.
Definitely could. Absolutely. And now, granted, a lot of this is the flight to London and flying to the East Coast, considering they're a mountain region central team, I guess, for the most part, or a plains team, whatever you want to call it. But no, yeah, it definitely could impact the Broncos this season. Uh, Probably not as much as can they stay healthy this year. That's always number one, but definitely something to think about. And I also think I saw that the Steelers this year don't play a single game outside of the Eastern time zone. Can you believe that? That's wild.
I know they get to take a. I was watching, and I don't know why I didn't know this earlier. I was watching NFL Live or something. They take a bus to Cleveland
Hmm.
every year for the away game. That's where
That's wild.
like I'm like they take like a 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hour bus trip. I'm like, are you? Wow, that's where. Must be tough to be a Steeler. Here's the thing, Phil. I think it does matter, and we know about how historically cursed the Broncos are for whatever reason on the East Coast. But here's the thing: I don't be surprised over the next few weeks if you see some cute little T-shirt come out that says "Road Warriors" that Justin Simmons is wearing at practice, or something like that. Meaning, no, I'm not making fun of the message. The message is, hey, we've got to do this, embrace the suck. We're going to do this together and prove the world wrong. We can play all over the field, anywhere, anytime, and we're still going to live up to our standard. I think that's what you're going to see coming out of these Denver Broncos. It starts on week 1, one of the hardest places to play. That's a huge test. Say what you want about the Seattle Seahawks offense, but it's never easy to win a football game, especially there, especially where Pete Carroll knows Russ Wilson. And yes, Russ Wilson knows Pete Carroll, but I think you're going to have an exciting matchup. And this game was not this matchup was not made by accident by the folks at the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay Kozad comes in saying Seattle fans have always been loud. Circling back to the point getting earlier when Luke was asking me, what was I expecting? I'm expecting a lot of orange in the stands for this game. It does not
Really?
seem. I mean, Denver is not that far away. There's a lot of Denver fans in the Idaho, Wyoming, Montana area that might make the trek out here. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not seeing a ton of Seahawks gear out and about in Seattle in comparison to even just a year ago. So I think that this team understands that the Geno Smith, Drew Lock quarterback competition with the questions on defense, offensive line, running backs injured, probably not going to be a great season. So I'm not expecting a Denver fan seemingly takeover, kind of like we saw last year in Dallas. But as far as the 12th man goes, I think there's going to be more orange in the stands than expected.
Are those orange jerseys converted Seahawk fans that are dire to Russ because they are loyal to Russ? Because we saw that, right? At least with some Colts fans, I feel like, where they're like, we love Peyton. We still cheer for the Colts. But you know what? If it's not the Colts, go Broncos. You think it's that kind of thing, or it's Broncos country getting ready to show up and get some get back?
I think it's Broncos country. This is a fan base that has been
Wow.
dormant, not dormant, but not
Yeah,
excited for football
it
for
has.
6 years.
Yeah.
Seattle Monday Night Football, Seattle especially in September is a destination city. I mean, it's awesome to come out here in September, and I think that these tickets are while they were sold out and expensive, I think Broncos country wants to come out here for this game. So really excited to see that. I really do think there's going to be a good amount of Broncos fans out there. Seahawks fans will still be loud, but I think that you might have 10% Orange fans out there in the stands. Maybe that's just me hyping up and getting excited, seeing how many Broncos fans I'm seeing are going to be in Seattle for the Seahawks game. But I think we're going to travel well.
Woo! Gonna travel well. That is the Denver Broncos going to Monday Night Football, getting ready to whip some of that nasty Seattle Seahawk. But EJ has been an absolute champ. EJ, thank you so much for all of your generosity during this
Yeah.
show. We're gonna go ahead and take care of you. Be sure to get at me at Luke Patterson LP after the show. Sorry for that, Fat Fingers. Pat Bolin chose Elway over Reeves, and Tampa played in the NFC West, not the AFC West. Before it was 32 teams in 8 divisions was Denver, Kansas City, San Diego, Oakland, and Seattle. Luke, if you walked with a broken femur, you are the man. Not a femur, man. No way. It's a broken humerus. So right here, I'm not wearing a sling, and I'm wearing black for a reason because absolutely don't want to look all nasty. But it was weird, man. Not to gross anybody out, but it was kind of one of those decisions when you're riding your bike and it's like, are we going to go into a truck or are we going to lay it down somewhere else? So pick to the grass, and actually, like, no blood or anything like that. The only thing that happened to me was a broken humerus. I did not know it was the second largest bone in your body, and I did not know how bad it would hurt. So I'm the bionic man, so to speak. Now I got new metal in me, new screws in me, and unfortunately they couldn't do anything for up here, but I'm still trying to work on it. EJ, thank you for all your support, man. You're
Yeah.
really, really a good friend. David Cromlow coming in, 499 super. Can you expect the Broncos to see more rush 3, drop 8? from defenses this season. It's what the Bengals did to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Wow, good question, David. Nick, what say you?
I don't know what they're going to do from the rush versus coverage aspects, but I'm guessing the Broncos would probably be okay with a rush 3 drop 8 because the Broncos, I'm guessing with their running backs, are going to be okay running the football. I think the rush 3 drop 8 that the Bengals made a switch to in the second half of the AFC Championship game was them betting that Andy Reid didn't have the patience to continue to run the ball against light boxes because he's such a pass happy head coach. I don't think that's going to be the case with Nathaniel Hackett. I know he's had Aaron Rodgers last few years, got Russell Wilson now, but he was fine using AJ Dillon and uh, Aaron Jones there with Green Bay. So I don't really see a rush 3 drop 8. My bigger thought here, everybody thinks, Seahawks the last few years, I guess not last few years, last decade, Legion of Boom, cover 3. They're switching to more of a Vic Fangio match quarters, 2 deep, cover 4 centric defense. And last season, granted, the sample size is going to be extremely small, but last season, Russell Wilson was actually one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire NFL versus cover 4. Now, some of that has to do with the fact they're going up against the 49ers, who were one of the best cover 4 teams in football, massive advantage with the
Pass
defensive front
rushers.
there and everything, pass rushers,
Mm-hmm.
interior defensive line, et cetera, linebacker, best linebacker in football right now, and
Yep.
Fred Warner. But I think it's more so the question is going to be, what does Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson do to figure out how to start to work against those 2 deep safety shells that Russell Wilson struggled so much against last year, and how that meshes with the quick pass game. Russell
You're
Wilson,
gonna
he's a great 3-point shooter constantly. Those layups, though, how are they going to get those layups out there for Russell Wilson?
I've got the answer for you because I saw it all of training camp. They insisted on doing it, attacking the middle of the field, short to intermediate, with the tight end, with the wide receivers, with the slots. They want Russ to make that quick throw immediately. And if you're a wide receiver that's got crocodile arms, you're not going to be on this team for very long. You're going to have to take some shots, guys, a la Wes Welker, a la Emmanuel Sanders, things of that nature. Russell Wilson has repeatedly went back to the drawing board in this training camp to work on the things that he traditionally has not done well. Like you said, we know he can throw the long ball, sure, but can you make those quick, decisive throws from within the pocket? Because at a certain point, you put your team at a disadvantage when you're out of the pocket all of the time. You can do it. You can improvise. You're a future Hall of Famer, for crying out loud. But there, you got to try to stay within some of those fundamentals that made you great. Saw improved footwork from Russell Wilson as well. So I think staying in the pocket is going to be a priority, but let Russ cook, let him do what he does. And either way, it's going to be exciting to find out. Paul, coming in with a generous $20 super. Paul, thank you for joining Nick, Scott, and I on MHI. Seattle Super Bowl game scares me slightly. Glad you're back, Luke. Don't let them hang around going into the fourth quarter. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate that. Yeah, Seattle's got a rich history in terms of football. I like to make fun of poking at their quarterbacks. And then who did they have too? The big steroidal linebacker out of Oklahoma, Brian Bosworth.
Bosworth. Yep, the
Yeah, the
Boz.
Boz. Yeah, right. I like to poke fun at the Boz. My guy Mike Pritchard played up there and played well for him too. So it's tough to go against him. Stokely played up there, I think, for a year or so. Tyler Columbus, some of those cats. Seattle has a rich history as well in terms of football. So I think it's going to be good. It's going to be a good matchup. I think the announcers, the national media are really excited to see if the Broncos can live up to some of this hype initially. I mean, if the Broncos go in there, struggle, and lay an egg, that's going to be really tough. It can't be one of these things where Denver comes into the game and assumes we've got Russell Wilson, we've got Nathaniel Hackett, they've got some old man and some bum at quarterback. If the Broncos assume that, it's not the best feeling in the world, at least coming from me. I respect their mission enough right now to think that they're taking this game extremely seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, this team, it's way too early in the season for anybody to be overlooking. And we have the Texans week 2. The Broncos starters have not been playing for the most part in preseason. So I can't imagine them overlooking the Seahawks. Also, Paul, I love you. I think the game that was in 2012, February 2013, has little bearing on what's it's going to happen on the field in 2022 Monday Night Football. So I get the bad feelings and bad juju and whatnot, but just completely different teams, different rosters, different football.
I was gonna say, are Russell Wilson and Brandon McManus the only ones from that game that'll be on the field? I mean, because Bobby Wagner gone from Seattle now. I mean, I can't think of another Seahawk, let alone another Denver Bronco that would have been on that team. I mean,
Pete Carroll. I mean, not a player,
yeah,
but yeah,
Pete Carroll. You're right.
that's it though. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. So yeah, long time ago. I mean, what is it, like 33% of football teams change every single year? So the fact that it's what
Mm.
9, 10 seasons ago, totally different times. So different identity. Football's changed a lot in that time period, let alone the rosters. So will be interesting to see how it plays out. We got Chris coming in here over on Facebook saying, "Do you guys think there might be a little field rust and timing issues because of the start of the preseason?" I think there would have been rust and timing issues regardless of if the starters played or not, because you're not seeing the same type of speed, the same time of reps, the same type of quality out there on the field as you are in the regular season. There's nothing that replaces regular season reps. So I think there would have been timing and rust issues. And I got to be honest, guys, I think we could be talking 4 to 6 weeks of some timing and rust issues this season as Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson kind of feel each other out and see what's working and not working and come into some sort of relationship. I'm curious to see how this relationship, obviously we're not going to get much other than, inside sources talking, but if things aren't working, where do the power dynamics play? Does Hackett get a step in and be like, listen, Russ, I know you really want to run these empty sets, but you are struggling with these empty sets right now. We need to go to something else. Or does Russ say, nope, I can get it. I want to do this. We're going for it.
Yeah, both guys are going to have to give ground. And then that's when George Payton comes in and says, look, I am the boss. I am the captain now. And this is the hierarchy of this team. But you do have to make special circumstances because you have a special quarterback, a quarterback that cares so much that he wants to be involved in some of these decisions. You're absolutely going to see rust. And guess what? The best part of that is you're going to see rust from everybody, from Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers to Lamar Jackson, who's trying to get a deal done by Friday, Nick. I don't know. You're going to see rust, period, because there's NFL football and then there's everything else. Preseason, training camp. These guys don't want to emulate that stuff due to the injuries. But man, when you take away those one-on-ones, when you take away the pit, when you take away some of those really physical drills from the O-line, the D-line, and the linebackers, that's what worries me a little bit. It's not so much the 7-on-7s. It's how quickly can a defensive lineman shed a block? How quickly can an offensive lineman move his hands from the outside to the inside before he gets caught? These sort of things are going to take time. 3 to 4 weeks, that's okay. And Broncos country, if your offense with Russell Wilson is rusty, that's okay. You can win with rusty football. You can't win with ugly football. You can't win with incompetent football. Heck, if we win by a field goal against Monday night, I'm still going to be just as excited as if we blew them out because it's 1-0 on to the next game and enough with this Seattle hate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see how these power dynamics come out. I know we referenced that ESPN article earlier talking about the
Yeah.
the rift that developed between Russell Wilson and the organization there. But first, forget what I have to say. EJ coming in with $100 here, saying, "I don't
Wow.
currently ride Luke, but glad to hear you chose right, and it isn't worse. I did have to choose to lay down a bike once, and the front forks got run over by a 3x4 once, and that was scary, but just sprained big toe. Got off easy. That's very
Wow.
scary." Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, EJ. Oh man, I'm so glad you're okay too. You know what's weird, man, is my dad's been riding and building bikes since I was a little kid. Works in the fire service now, still messes around with bikes quite a bit. He's laid every single one of his bikes down that he's ever had, walked away from every single one of them. So many different friends that I have laid down their bikes. I was wearing a helmet, wearing boots, wearing jeans, all those sorts of things. So definitely advocate for that. But I will definitely be back on the bike. It's going to take a little while. I had surgery on this arm. I'm going to do some physical therapy and things of that nature, but it's all got to be responsible. I got to make sure I'm healed up. But one thing I would really encourage anybody, and this doesn't have to do with my injuries, but don't let fear conquer you. I am ready to get back on that bike right now, just because that's who I am. That's an adventurous side of me. It's something that brings me joy, something I can do with my dad, something I can do with my family. And if it brings you joy, don't waste a second not trying to get that joy. Do not live in fear, but be responsible and be sure to take care of yourself because others depend on you, EJ, as you well know. So I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad so many people have love and Nick, you know it. I mean, you're in the woods all the time. A bad step, and that's it, man. And these things can happen all around us. An accident, you can get in a car accident if you leave your house today, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't leave your house. We have to accept some sort of the risk to truly be happy. And I just appreciate everybody reaching out. So thank y'all. Ha!
Whoa, whoa.
That was me. That was me doing it. No, Scott right there. Our boy Scott's riding. Maybe you know what we got to do is we got to start a little MHHMC. Get a little motorcycle MHH riding through this world, something like that. But no, real quick because we've gotten a little off topic about some of these reminiscing of Emmanuel Sanders. How's Russ gonna do? Jerry Jeudy. All right, he has not started out great within his first 2 years, right? And so I sat down and I was kind of comparing Emmanuel Sanders and Jerry Jeudy, different wide receivers, different abilities, but both very rich in terms of what they can do for your football team. During Emmanuel Sanders' first 2 years, he caught 50 receptions for 664 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 drops. You compare that to Jerry Jeudy, 90 receptions, 1,323 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 9 drops. Now, tons of different factors when you look at that, considering who was throwing Jerry Jeudy the ball, although he got more yardage and more receptions. But you look at what Pittsburgh was doing a little bit too. They were a little bit more of a run team back then. They had Antonio Brown and a whole host of other wide receivers. Nick, do you think that Jerry Jeudy can not only play up to an Emmanuel Sanders type level, but possibly above it in terms of bringing home the hardware, bringing home the Pro Bowls, and bringing home the bacon, so to speak?
It's always easier to believe and hope in the potential, but it's a safer bet to assume that the high standards that were set beforehand are harder to reach. Jerry Jeudy has not put it together yet. He's had injuries. He's entering year 3 of his career. There's been questions about the maturity, the intelligence, you name it. And also an issue with Jerry Jeudy, not to his fault, but this current regime, the George Payton regime, has been pretty quick to move on from previous regimes players when they can for their own guys. So I think it's definitely possible for Jerry Jeudy. Need to see what it looks like with Russell Wilson. Also needs to see how the relationship between Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson evolves or handles adversity, because it's going to come at some point. That's a guarantee. I can guarantee you that. There's a lot of unknowns and hypotheticals. There will be adversity at some point that they're going to have to work through together to figure it out. So I think right now it's safer to say that Emmanuel Sanders' career was better than what Jerry Jeudy will do. But you want to hope and believe in the unknown and the potential still, because he is still really young, still really talented, and has not had the best circumstances to date in his professional career.
I agree with everything you said. Co-sign that 100%. Let me ask you this, a hypothetical, and it might be tough. Let's say Jerry Judy's not connecting with Russ. That trade deadline's coming up. Could Jerry Jeudy be on the hot seat in terms of George does have that patience in year 3? Maybe we need another pass rusher, maybe injury calls for an offensive lineman. Do you think there would be a possibility that George calls teams about Jerry Jeudy, or maybe he accepts phone calls if they're about Jerry Jeudy?
He should be accepting phone calls about every player that wouldn't absolutely sink the salary cap, just because, there's definitely questions to be had there all the time, looking to get better. That said, I can't imagine it happening this season with the Tim Patrick injury happening, with Brandon Johnson and these other guys. No really young player. Like, some guys had
For
good preseasons, but nobody is like, oh my God, like Romeo
yeah,
Dobbs has been
for
for the
first year
Packers.
with Hackett too.
Yeah. So I think that's not a likely approach. If there is a
Okay.
deterioration in the relationship with Jeudy and this team, I would guess it's more so in the offseason.
I think that's fair. And Phil
Yeah.
McLaughlin coming in here, giving us a little history lesson. In 56 meetings, the Broncos lead the series 35-21. I figure it'll be 36 after Monday Night Football. I see some folks getting in their score predictions. Our guy Cody's coming in here, making sure we're staying sharp. Cody, thank you so much for your generous donations tonight on MHI. Cody W. Score predictions. I'm saying 28-10 Denver wins. Nick, what do you have for the Broncos at the Seahawks?
I think this game's going to be a little bit uglier and low scoring than people think on both ends, but I think this Denver defense is going to overwhelm the Seahawks as long as they are able to not give up the back-breaking plays in the pass game, which with Drew Lock maybe would happen. You have way more chance of blowing out the Seahawks with Drew Lock too, but more of a variance player. So I think the Broncos are going to win this one about 24-10.
Yeah, I'm not too far off. I'm
Yeah.
27-16. Denver, I think you're going to see that rust like we were talking about. And I appreciate that we were able to bring that up. And don't panic when you see that rust. That's good. You would rather have that rust now. You don't want teams, and I don't think it's possible, to come out on just 100%, all cylinders firing. No one peaks week one, okay?
Yeah.
No one peaks week 2, 3, 4. You don't want to peak too early, and you want to be able to manage these teams. And these teams are all going to go through a whole new set of firsts together, traveling together, facing that adversity. I mean, this will be the
Yeah.
first time that they're in another place, and I know preseason's preseason, where they're not beloved. They're the enemy, the Broncos over there. Here in Denver, they're all heroes, and we love every one of them, and they're celebrated. No, they hate you up there in Seattle right now. And I use the term hate loosely, of course, with it's just sports. But I think it's going to be interesting. Roboto Doom 5 coming in. I mean, the Cardinals peak early and then dive bomb. That's exactly right. It could happen. I think it's going to be exciting either way. I don't care if it's a blowout. I don't care if we win by just a field goal. But Mike has a really good question. Mike Hansen, thanks for joining us, man. How many points will the defense score? I've got 14. I've got a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and I've got a pick six from none other than the best cornerback in the league in 2022, Pat Surtain.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. I'll give the defense 0 points on this one, but a couple turnovers. Nothing.
Screw you, Nick.
I need the offense to score some goddamn points. I can't take what I saw from the Iowa Hawkeyes this weekend happening on the
Oh, I
next
know
Monday
it.
as well. They won at least, thank God. But I gotta ask, Luke. So again, peeling back the onion on this article from ESPN, great article, really long. If you have a chance to read it, it's from about August 16th about this Russell Wilson deterioration relationship in Seattle. But there was the play where there was some game they were referencing in the article where Russell Wilson had options, tuck the ball and run, pick up a first down, or, a little flat option. And instead, he throws it into double coverage deep, trying to chase stats, points. And an executive in position in Seattle is like, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to pad stats? Or are we trying to win football games? Do you have any concerns about the Broncos, Russell Wilson maybe trying to do too much, not taking the play that's there in front of him, the fundamental football, trying to not chase stats, but make the splash play, hunt for heads when the easier, safer options are in front of him. That especially for a game when you're not at a talent deficit against the Seahawks. If you go out there and play to your talent level, you should wipe the floor with the Seahawks team. Do you have any concerns about that early on?
Good question, man. Let me ask real quick because I was unsure of this. Was that executive an employee of Seattle?
I think so.
Okay, so my first question would be, what in the hell is an executive asking anything about football to Russell Wilson?
Oh,
Unless
no,
you're
no, he
not.
wasn't saying to Russell Wilson. He was saying in general, like he witnessed the play and he thinks to himself, like, what's happening here? Why are we doing
Okay,
this when the game is in front of us? There's the easy play to make that could pretty much sew up
okay.
this game for us. And instead, we're throwing a pick and putting ourselves in a bad situation.
Because bleep happens. That's
Yeah.
why. Look at Peyton Manning when he could have ran for that first down against Indianapolis and what was it, the wild card round? I mean, remember it like it was yesterday. All Peyton had to do was kind of run and slide,
Mhm.
get that first down, but he didn't do it. I think Tom Brady last year thought we were playing 5 downs now, and I know he's getting old, but I mean, dude, stuff happens. I can't answer for that play, but I hear your question, and I do think that there's some ego with Russell Wilson. I do think he cares about statistics, but I think he cares a lot more about winning championships than individual awards. And the biggest proof I have of that was he's not the highest paid player. He
Yeah.
could have been, and he's not far off. You shouldn't be feeling bad for Russell Wilson, anybody. But it's just one of those things to me where if Russ is doing well, then the rest of the team should be doing well. And I don't think Russ is going to be trying to play hero ball in garbage time. If anything, he should probably be plugged. Not that I see the Broncos getting blown out, but I think that was probably all a microcosm of what was going on in Seattle, or at least starting to. And the article was very good, Nick, that you referenced, because it breaks it down in timelines, sort of,
Mhm.
and when things were happening. And I can't remember where this particular thing happened, but breakups are messy. Plain and simple. You want to try to get behind them as quick as you can, but there's always something that's kind of nagging. And I think this could be the clean breakup on Monday night. No, I don't anticipate Seattle making the playoffs or anything like that. But to answer your question, I think Russ is all in on being this public figure as a leader, and he needs to be unselfish, because if the Bronco fans find out he's a phony, like all the Seattle fans are saying he is, they're going to call him out, and they're not going to let him live with that, because Broncos fans are the most educated fan base in the NFL. Patrick coming in. What's up, Patrick? Thank you for joining Nick, Scott, and I. Anything is better than what we have suffered for the last 6 years. Completely agree with that. Tons of reasons to be optimistic. Are you going to have any game day traditions? Obviously, you're going to the game. Do you work that day? Are you going to try to get off early? Are you going to do some orange body paints? I mean, what does a Nick Kendell Bronco Seattle game look like for those of us that can't see it?
I'm going to be walking from work down to the stadium. I work downtown, about a mile and a half from the stadium. I think I'm going to be heading to Lot 10, where there's going to be a bunch of Broncos fans in
All
Seattle
right.
meeting there. And I'm going to bring a 6 pack of IPAs in orange cans to enjoy in the parking
Mm.
lot, and hopefully some food as well. I'm going to try to probably have to figure out a way to like hide the beer in the work fridge. Maybe put it in like a like a Diet Pepsi box or something. But you're definitely gonna enjoy myself and get on down there. I'll definitely be taking a half day on Monday as well. I also am going to be donating blood Monday morning, so I need to remember to eat and drink up water so I don't get too crazy there.
Yeah, make sure you hydrate, man. Yeah, make
Yeah.
sure you hydrate. Yeah, I will yeah, I'm still going on this humorous thing, man. More doctor's appointments and all that kind of stuff, but it kind of makes me wonder like what these football players go through. I mean, I had my surgery. It was supposed to go 2 hours and went 3. The severity of the break, all this stuff. Man, when you hear about some of these guys and the surgeries they get, at least for me, I'm desensitized to it in a way, because you're not close to it in any way, shape, or form. I don't know them. I wish them well. But some of these guys, man, when you think about them going under the knife to truly do what they did, even Russell Wilson's finger, I mean, that's kind of weird, right? The small little finger injury. I mean, weird. But the guys definitely can come back, and he's slinging it. And I'm just excited to see what the Broncos can do here on Monday night. As we start to wrap up the MHI show, let's get a few more before we get on out of here. And guys, Dylan has been working his tail off. Please be sure to head on over to milehighhuddle.com. Paul with $20 super coming in. Nick is going to the game. I'm scared. Hashtag love you, Nick. Don't be scared. They're not going to do nothing up there. They don't do nothing. They're going to be mad. They're going to be crying. They're going to get offended that they lost. Nick is going to be in good company, because Nick is saying Broncos country is going to be there and they're going to have his back.
Yeah. I do have a bad track record for seeing the Broncos live in regular season. I did see them win a preseason game back in like 1999 in St. Louis. Uh, John Elway had a surgery, so he didn't play that game. I was devastated. I was like 6 years old. Like, where's Elway? He's not playing. He's hurt. But I think I'm 0-7 in games I've attended live. For the most part, though, I've not attended games in Denver. The only time I saw him in Denver was the Bradley Chubb 3-sack game against the Rams, and Broncos were not very good in that era. I've also seen them lose twice at Kansas City, twice in Indy, once in Green Bay, and once somewhere else as well. I think that adds up. Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. But regardless, oh yeah, and once in St. Louis, saw them lose that game that we just talked about earlier, where Emmanuel Sanders got his bell rung, and
Oh.
that was the beginning of the end for Peyton Manning being a elite statistical quarterback. So, not the best track record, but hey, it's a new era.
It's a new era, new ownership,
Yeah.
new coaches, and some guy named Russell Wilson is looking for some get back against his former team. Guys, this is going to wrap it up for MHI tonight. He is Nick Kendell, Scott Kennedy on the ones and twos. Yours truly, thank you so much for having me back. Thank you for being patient. I appreciate Scott and Nick and everybody that's been stepping up and filling in my absence. And once again, guys, appreciate your thoughts and prayers. And let's keep this going. If you want to keep the conversation going, I've got a lot of time on my hands right now in between doctor's appointments, physical therapy, all these kinds of things. Hit me up at Luke Patterson LP. Let's chat. Let's talk football. Let's talk Broncos. Let's talk about the game tomorrow night. Let me know what you are doing for this Broncos game. Hit Nick up as well at Nick Kendell MHH if you'd like to talk to Scott. In addition to the Broncos, those Falcons are going to be playing here too. Reach out to Scott at Scout Kennedy. And of course, be a fan of us on Twitter at Mile High Huddle is the official mothership, and go to milehighhuddle.com for all of your up to the minute Broncos news and analysis. Nick, that was a great show, man. I appreciate you so much for having me back and holding the fort down. And I can't wait to see how this season goes, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. And we've made it, baby. We're here.
We have made it. We're here. Glad to have you back, Luke. Want to give a special thanks to EJ and Paul coming in multiple times with the big super
Yes.
chats. David Carmelo as well. We had Nick coming in, Cody W with the support. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate you. And Garth Knight also. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. We will see you. Scott and I will be back again tomorrow morning if you want to talk some more Broncos at 7 a.m. for your drive. But that's going to do it for Mile High Insiders. Make sure you're following Luke and I on Twitter. Luke is at Luke Patterson LP. I'm at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at MHI_pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, join our Facebook community at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And of course, as the ticker says underneath there, if you're joining us on YouTube today, probably the number one place where you can get these Mile High Huddle live streams. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube if you haven't done so already, and click that bell icon so that way you get an alert when we go live. We have, I don't think anybody's doing the all-on aerial assault, or I guess or oral assault that we are doing out here with the amount of content and live streams with different shows and whatnot on this channel for this site, for this network. So make sure you guys are doing that. A lot of different flavors, a lot of different shows, a lot of different personalities, but all covering your Denver Broncos. So we appreciate you. Luke, it's great to have you back, man. Hopefully things are all on the right path here, mending up, and we're going to have to take you off that. Glad to have you off the short-term IR there for a bit. Didn't have to put you
The
through
pup.
waivers or anything.
Yeah, I felt like I was on the pup. I cleared waivers. Thank God MHH didn't bounce me, but no, it was good, man. It's always kind of uncomfortable for me, if I'm being honest, to share some of these things because it's coming from a place of vulnerability, right? I'm not used to being hurt, not used to being sick, things like that. But all that's gone away, man, from people like yourself and Carl from building the Broncos, and all my friends and family reaching out. I really appreciate you guys. You mean a lot to me. So thank you guys for all you do. And be sure to get it Scott and Nick in the morning for Broncos for breakfast. They're going to get you going because we're one day closer to Friday, and it's the first official football game. Thursday night football tomorrow, guys. So be sure to listen to the fellas tomorrow morning. Broncos for breakfast. For Scott, Nick, I'm Luke saying always believe in that Mile High magic. Let's ride and let's go Broncos.